Hey guys, John here. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a classic analog sound with Toxic Biohazard and also with the vintage chorus that ImageLine just released not too long ago. So here it is. Alright, so let's dive into this. So first thing, let's turn off our effects here. So let's disable this vintage chorus real quick. I have it here on the channel, so let's turn that off real quick. And the delay and also the reverb. So this is basically what it sounds like without any of the effects. So it's close, it's got the character of the sound, but the effects definitely enhance it and kind of make it more, I guess, analog-y, if that's even a word. So the main thing with this patch is we're going to be using 3 saw waves, so one here, and then one here. And really the trick, if you've watched any of my other videos, is that with the analog stuff, is a slight detune with the saw waves really make it shine. So the second oscillator here is going to be detuned by 2 cents, and then the third one is going to be detuned by 4 cents. So the first saw wave is going to be 100% in the mix, the second saw wave 100% in the mix, and then the third one about 90%. So not as full power, but just a little bit down to kind of tuck it in just a little bit. So here's the first saw, then added with the second, and the third. And the next thing, if you haven't noticed, so I have the master release all the way at the top because I wanted these to have slightly different release times. So for the first release is going to be 0.477 about, and then 0.18 for the second one. And for the third one is about maybe 492 seconds, so give or take. So they all have different release times. Generally, if your patches are the same release, then you can use this as like a master release, as it says up here. But I have it all the way up, and I'm controlling individually the release of all these oscillators. So that's kind of why I did that. The attack is about 0.02, I think, on all of them, yeah. So they kind of start about the same, but they kind of end at slightly different times. And then the next cool part is really going to be in the filter. So I did the low pass, I did a low or LFO1 amount, about 16%, and this is synced with the tempo here. So let's take a listen to that. So 16%. So that's an exaggerated effect of what this is doing. And back to 16%. Just a subtle version of that, and it's also free running, so this LFO is not going to start every single time a note is struck. It's just kind of always moving. And then next we have the envelope amount. So with the filter envelope here, I have the attack maybe about 0.2, and then the release about 13 seconds, and these decay and sustain are all the way at the top. And I went to the negative territory, so minus 18% on here. So without this, kind of the filter's just always open, but if we go back to minus 18, let's do it while we play so we can hear it. It's about there. And then the cutoff for this filter is going to be 84%, and then I didn't key track it all the way. I did 59% because all the way seemed a little bit too much, so I'll show you that here. So just not all the way at the top, it's a little bit too much, so kind of dial that down just a little bit for this patch. And then now for the effects. So we did a first delay here at 216, which sounds like this. Without. Now with. So it kind of fills up the sound just a little bit more. The time is 50%, the feedback 60%, rate 24%, the depth 20%, the blur 54%, and then the mix about 40%. Then we're going to feed that into the reverb. Just to really open it up, open the sound. So we have the decay at 80%, high cut 37%, the dampening all the way at 100%, and then the mix at 78%. And really the last thing with this patch itself is the EQ here down at the bottom that I have engaged. So I felt with it out, there's a lot of low end that's kind of muddied up the sound. So without the EQ, it sounds like this. And with. So it kind of tames down that low end a little bit. So the 62 band, I brought down 7.6 dB. The 125 band, minus 4.9, the 250 band, minus 7.8, and then the 500 band, minus 5, and then the last 4 I left alone. And the really cool part is this vintage chorus. I did the preset of the Juno Mode 2, which actually just sounded perfect out of the box, so I'm like, you know what, let me just leave it there, because it kind of does really have that classic sound, so let's listen to that. So with it off, now on. Off, now on. And that's pretty much it with this patch. I think it came out really cool. Toxic Biohazard has a very cool filter. It has really cool, it's just, I feel like it's a good synth. It's very tiny to read, which is kind of rough, but you can make really cool stuff. So we'll see you in the next video.